Hi, this is Andres Aya with Aya Percussion, bringing you the Set A Timpani Etude for Region 17 North Zone, Clear Creek ISD. Make sure you have referred to your fundamental timpani video first. Nobody ever got good from ignoring the fundamentals, so make sure you guys are always looking through that. Don't just jump right into this. I am going to go over some of the basics, but I'm going to go very quickly and make sure you've actually looked at your timpani fundamentals Aya video, please. Okay, from the fundamentals video, remember we are trying to pick the pitches that go with the drums that are in the middle to high range. So because we have a C and bass clef and F and bass clef, I'm choosing the 29 and 26. I could choose the 26 and 23, but those are going to be towards the middle of the range. When I'm picking the middle two timpani here, I'm getting the C at the top of the range and the F at the top of the range. Depending on your height, and also we'll address this in class, I'm going to want you to be seated. On timpani, that's just a fundamental process in timpani because you can adjust the pitches as you're playing because your feet are stationed right at the pedals. So if you are shorty, you might get on a box if you're in middle school, and if you're super tall, this sitting down is going to help get you in a good position for timpani. Bottom line is we need to make sure our arms are slightly below parallel. So again, we don't want to be exactly parallel. We don't want to be we don't want to have an incline in our hand because we're so short. We need to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success by sitting down or actually getting on something to get you at the right height. So you should have a descending arm angle on these drums. Hit spots. Remember, hit spots are very important, especially on the top drum at Region Band, because a lot of middle schoolers do not pay attention to their hit spots, and they play a good etude, but it just sounds horrible because they're not listening to the hit spots. So remember, a good rule of thumb is their hit spot should be 1/3 in from the center of the drum from the rim. So again, on the 29 here, we have the center and here's the rim. About 1/3 in is going to be a nice hit spot, which is about 4 inches inside. Okay? Always use your ears to determine these things. On the 26, again, here's the center, here is the rim. 1/3 in is about here, which is about 3 inches in. The higher drums are less forgiving, so you need to make sure you're really paying attention to the hit spot on the higher drums. Okay, this goes from UIL to region music or any solos. Those hit spots on the top drum are going to be less forgiving. You got to be real precise on your hit spots. So when you're sitting down, or if you're standing up, if you're a shorty, you need to make sure you set up the drums to you. Don't just walk up to the drums or sit in a seat wherever it is. Make sure when you sit down, you relax your elbows and get in a natural position. Hold your sticks pretty much all the way back so you get the full weight of the stick, and we'll talk about French grip in a second. Make sure you're in a good natural position where your elbows are not in front of you or behind you and you have all this tension in your chest, but you're nice and relaxed. Then look down at the drum. So get relaxed first. Go ahead and relax your shoulders and elbows. Don't even look and just feel what's natural. Now look down. Are you in a good hit spot? If not, you need to push the drums away or get them closer, but set the drums up to you, okay? So don't just walk up and take whatever it gives you. You make it right, okay? Especially when you get to the region audition, we're playing on the same timpani. Somebody might go up there and make it different for them. You need to make sure it's set up for you. Now with two drums, it's not going to be that difficult. Make sure they're as close as possible without touching so we don't get a rattle. And make sure it's squared up to you where you're in a good hit spot, okay? So let's talk about, I know you're going to watch the fundamentals video, but let's just talk about French grip for a second. So on timpani, we want a nice relaxed stroke that always comes up. Okay, getting a good hit spot. So I'm always trying to think about pulling the sound out of the timpani. You never really want to downstroke or over grab on the timpani with your fingers. And so you're going to have very passive fingers. So the way I like to do this is I like to have my thumb on top. I'm choked back pretty much all the way, so make sure there's no slack there. And then I kind of have a 3-point fulcrum here. So I have my first, middle, and thumb. Thumb's in the middle of that, okay? And I'm using my wrist like you're turning a Rubik's Cube. So imagine you have a big Rubik's Cube and you have your thumbs on top, and just rotate that Rubik's Cube on the side. That's the motion we're going for, okay? So you might want to practice that motion first. Just pretend like you have a little Rubik's Cube and you're twisting the sides, okay? Now, your thumb and your first and your middle will be almost like in a triangle. You got your thumb here pointing at you, and then you have your first and middle finger right there. Let's get a close-up on that. Now notice my pinky and ring finger are pretty passive. They're not even touching the stick. And the reason why is because we're not going to have a lot of downstrokes. Okay, so when you're doing snare drum, you want to use those back fingers for downstrokes and controlled strokes to make sure that the stick doesn't come up when you don't want it to be at a higher height. But on timpani, we want everything to come up. Even when we're playing at a lower height, we want that piston stroke, okay? And of course, when we're playing higher. And the reason why we're doing that is we want articulation on the timpani. So we need to hear the front of the note. They ring so much, and the judge is going to be about 20 feet back, or you're going to be, depending on the environment, you're not going to hear a lot of articulation from the timpani, so you need to produce that even at a low level. So it's a very aggressive stroke with piston, okay, and always come up. Now I'm going to squeeze my thumb and middle and first and make sure that I have this athletic pressure, and everything's going to always have a little bit of pop to it, okay? It's not a passive stroke. You're going to have to put some energy into what you're doing, even again when you're down low. Okay, so let's practice this piston stroke up high first. So go ahead and think about your sticks being parallel. Your thumb is on top. Again, my pinky and my ring finger are not really touching the stick at all. And I'm going to pop my wrist and have some pressure in my thumb and first and middle. Okay, let's just do like 4 quarter notes. Right, left, right, left. 1, 2, ready, go. Up, 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 up. Again, always come back up to the top position. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up, 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 up. Make sure it comes up quickly last time and go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always come back up to the same height. Now let's practice that down low, okay? So even though I'm playing piano, I'm going to still have my hands up a little bit. Here you see my mouths are slightly up, and I'm going to still piston even though it's low. So it still has some pop to it. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have pressure in my thumb. Ready, go. 1. It's going to be a quick motion. So you're going to spend a lot of time in the air and go and be precise with this pressure piston stroke. Ready, go. Okay, so always have that same pressure and keep the height that you've established in mind. And if you do these things, it almost dummy-proofs your sound quality, okay? So you don't have to think about it too much. The stickings are going to be given to you, but I'm going to explain why I chose some of these stickings. Generally on timpani, alternating is best because it's going to even out the sound. If you just have one hand going and insert your left every now and then, it's probably going to have a different velocity. But when you alternate, it basically evens out the velocity. But sometimes there's going to be exception to that rule. In general on timpani, it's better to alternate, and we'll talk about the exceptions when we get there. Now, we started out at mezzo piano. Obviously at region band, they might pick a cut, but there's plenty of dynamics here. So we have to make sure we set ourselves up for success here. We're starting at mezzo piano. If you already start too loud or too soft, you're really boxing yourself in. So you got to be very intentional that mezzo piano is not piano. Here's piano. A level above that. Here. And the mezzo forte is like here. And then you got forte, nice and full, but you got to save some room for fortissimo because in measure 11, you're going to have that full sound. Let's talk about sound real quick in the region room. Timpani is one of those interesting instruments where you can have someone who is playing way too loud and they think it's confident, but it's very offensive to the judge. So, for example, when we get to a loud spot like in measure 10, here's a good sound. Right? But then you'll have some kids thinking they're aggressive and I really want to show the judge that I know what I'm doing, and they play way too offensively. Right? A judge will really damage your scores if you do that because that's not musical. They don't want that kind of musical sense in their region band. So always play with a beautiful tone, okay? Don't overplay the timpani ever. Now, on the flip side of that, if you play too soft and you don't have that confidence, then they don't want kids with no confidence in the region band, okay? So you've got to find that balance between being confident, but you can't be overplaying the instrument, okay? So at the beginning here, it's already pretty tricky because you can't start too loud. Now let's talk about feel in 6/8, okay? In 6/8, as you can hear the metronome, there's an emphasis on 1 and 4, or the 2 big beats, 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, even though there's not accents, you want some agogics on 1s and 4s so you can feel that lilt. So let's say in measure 4, you have something like this. You don't want to feel it like a robot. You want to feel da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, where you have that lilt to it. Okay, so listen to the difference. Here's kind of robotic, where it's all the same. and then put a little bit of weight on 1 and 4 here. Feel that weight. Ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. Not an accent, just a feel. Okay, so as you're playing this, make sure you're feeling it that way. 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Okay, the tempo range on this piece is 68 to 76. Since this is a tutorial, we're going to take it really slow, and we're going to assume that we are building region kids and that you're not already at a region level, okay? Most 7th graders are going to have to work really, really hard to make a region band. As an 8th grader, you have more experience. You're still going to have to work hard. If you follow all these steps, you will be successful no matter what level you're at, okay? So we're going to take it nice and slow to start at 50, okay, and really build a bear up to our tempo, okay? Let's learn to do it right and slow first, and then we will get there eventually, okay? All right, so we're at 50. So if you're practicing at home, put your metronome at 50, get the triplet on because we're in 6/8. That means we have 6 eighth notes in the measure. You can think of this like you have 2 big beats, like we're in 2/4, and the triplet is getting the 8th note, okay? So here is your 50. Nice and slow, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. Now I'm going to put the triplet on. That's your 8th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now technically that's how you count and you write out your rhythms. Your 8th note gets the numbers when you're in 6/8. But I want you to think of this as in 2 big beats. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, being 1 and 4 being the big beats, I want you to think about it as in 1 lolly, 2 lolly, okay? It's going to simplify some things. I might count it both ways to make sure you understand it and then simplify it, but you would think about it like this. 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Next measure, lolly, 2 lolly. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, okay? Now, for those who get confused in 6/8, when you see these dotted rhythms, with these dotted quarters, you can think dotted note, okay? Now, the way dotted notes were explained to me when I was your age was very confusing. It was the value of the note plus half of it. So I would always get confused by that. So I think the best thing to think of is your family tree. What is underneath the quarter note and the values of your note tree? So you have quarter notes, what's underneath that? It breaks down into 2 eighth notes, right? Now your dotted quarter is going to add 1 more eighth note to that. So you're going to think dotted note. And whatever the speed of your eighth note is how you say it. So if we're here, and that's our eighth note, and we know a dotted quarter is worth dotted note, 3 eighth notes, and that's your eighth note. That's how you think of it. Dotted note, dotted note, dotted note, dotted note. So your first measure here at mezzo piano, again, has piston. It's not that high, but has piston. We're going to think dotted note, dotted note, dotted note. Pretty simple if you think about it that way. Okay, try it. 1, 2, get hit spots. Ready? Go. Dotted note, dotted note, dotted note. 1, ready, go. Dotted note, dotted note. Last time and go. Dotted note, dotted note, dotted note. Now, on measure 2, on beat 4, which is our second big beat, we have eighth notes. We already know how fast eighth notes are, but we're starting at piano. I'm going to start right hand lead, so I end up on my left on the 29 when I finish. So I'm going to go 4, 5, 6, 1. Or you could think 2 lolly 1. Okay? So let's do measure 2. So we start at mezzo piano, then we're going to immediately drop. Stay lower for a little bit longer before you build, so you really show the judge that you hit piano. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Dotted note, drop, and build. Now, when you come back up, I should hear a third dynamic now. We started here, and then it's softer, and then it's a little bit louder because we're at mezzo forte. So make sure you're paying attention and really using your ears. 1, 2, 3, measure 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, ready, go. Dotted note. Again. Dotted note, build, mezzo forte, and last time, go. Dotted note. All right, so measure 3 here, we start to get some 16th notes going. So if you think about it, your 8th note is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your 16th notes are going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and, or 1 te, 2 te, 3 te. Okay, so at this tempo, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. So when you get to beat 2, you're going to have a 2 and 3. So our rhythm here in measure 3 is 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, so let's just make it to that second big beat on beat 4, which is kind of beat 2 if you're thinking 1 lolly, 2 lolly. Okay, mezzo forte, we're going to go left, left, right, left. Now the reason why I'm doing a double left is because it's on an 8th note, plus I want to make sure I get to my right hand here. Okay, so I'm going to go. Okay, let's try it with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, and go. Left, left, right, left. Left, left, right, left. All right, so now we have some space here. We have a quarter note. It is not dotted. We're halfway through measure 3. So you have to think 2 8th notes here. So you have to think 4, 5, okay? Or you're thinking 2 la, and then you play on the li, or beat 6. So you have 2 la li, 2 la li, or you're thinking 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. So you got to really think about holding 2 8th notes on this one. When you get to dotted quarters or quarters, yes, they're slower rhythms, but you really got to think about how many 8th notes are they worth. These are worth 2, so you have to wait 2 beats. 1, 2, then play. Okay, so let's practice the last 2 notes of measure 3. Quarter and 8th note, and then the 16th note release. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Again. Do not memorize. You got to look at your music, okay? And stop. Okay, so let's do all of measure 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Left, left, right, left. 2, 3, again, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Now let's count it the other way. 1, ready, go. 1, la, and li. 1, la, and li. 2, li, 1. 1, la, and li. 2, li, 1. 1, 2, 3, last time, go. 1, la, and li. 2, li, 1. Okay, and now in measure 4, we have more of the same 16 note and 8 note rhythm. So we have 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6. Okay, try to say that whole measure 4. 1, ready, go. 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6. Let's count that in 2 beat grouping. So we have 1 and la, li, 2 and la, and li. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. 1 and la, li, 2 and la, and li. I'm doing a double right on the Fs here on the 8th notes because I need to keep my left hand ready for the 4 and 5 and 6. I'm going right, left, right, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, let's put this in time. Our hands just kind of stay outside. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, not too loud. But it's still piston stroke. We're going to add the next beat because there's a mute. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, again, if you watch your fundamentals video, you know about muting, but let's talk about it real quickly. So remember, I like to use muting where the stick goes off to the side. That way we don't accidentally hit the drum when we're muting. Okay, so again, here's your thumb first and middle, and then I'm going to turn it almost 90 degrees, and then I'm just going to hold it with my first finger, and I'm going to Spider-Man my thumb and other fingers, and I'm going to mute right on the hit spot. Do not mute in the center, do not mute off to the side, mute right on the hit spot, because that's going to be more efficient and cut out the sound. So when you're doing this, both are muted at the same time for this first mute, so the mouths will kind of go towards each other as my fingers come off to mute. Okay, so practice doing that. Set, set. Okay, and again, when you're muting, don't slap your hand down. We don't want to hear it. It's just a gentle mute. All right, let's do all of line 1. So this measures 1 through 4 to the mute on the first beat of measure 5. Starting in mezzo piano, then we're going to dip to piano, then mezzo forte. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Last time, ready, go. Measure 5. So we've already gone over the mute here, so we're coming from the mute. Then we have a forte piano roll. So we're going to do something a little different here. So we're going to strike the forte. It's going to be obviously elevated from the mezzo forte we just came from in measure 4. Then I want you to get your hands nice and low and spread them out. Now I want you to think about rolls for a second. We've talked about this in the fundamentals video, but for rolls, it's the opposite of articulation. For rolls, we want to create the illusion of a sustained note. The way we can take advantage of the timpani here is by spreading our hands out. You'll notice when I'm rolling, when I play in a good hit spot, I'm going to hear that articulation, da 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 da, where I hear every front of the note. But if I spread my hands out a little bit, that kind of goes away, almost like a suspended, how you play a suspended cymbal. You kind of reach your hands out so that the waves are coming from 2 different sides of the pond. Okay, so when we're playing rolls, I want you to spread your hands out. They're still in a good hit spot. If you think about it, 1/3 in here, I'm just sliding it over here and I'm sliding it over here. It's the same distance. So don't play closer to the rim just because you spread it out. Okay. Now I also want to take advantage of using a legato stroke here. It's not piston when we're rolling. So we actually want to use our fingers here. So I'm actually going to not have a passive pinky and ring finger. I'm going to use them. Okay. When you were using fingers as a beginner, you started using rebound. We want that. Okay. So we want to think about this like 8 on a hand, right? So try 8 on a hand on the drums real quick. Where you're using rebound and you're feeling all that rebound in your fingers and nice and relaxed. It's not stiff anymore. So the pressure in your thumb actually loosens up here. And then we're just going to treat it like 16th notes almost. Feel that rebound where the stick and the drum is giving back to you and you're kind of bouncing the stick. And it's nice and smooth and you're just using that energy. Now, when we're doing the roll after the first note, you're going to separate your hands and start low. I want you to sneak in. Let's just practice a piano roll for a second. Using rebound. Use your fingers. You should feel some bounce. Even though it's not very high, I'm using my fingers. So again, my thumb kind of turns over to the side here. So the way I kind of do this is I use French grip for regular playing, but for rolls I go to American grip and spread my hands out. So it's kind of this duality thing going on here. Okay? So for the forte piano roll, what we're going to do is we're going to strike, spread our hands and keep them low, start that roll, sneak in, and we really don't want to hear that entrance. And then we'll grow to the top drum. As you grow, you're going to play higher and faster. Okay, slow, and you're going to build. Okay, now let's play that nice and slow. Let's play it nice and slow. Let's practice the strategies here. So let's play one note, forte, and you're going to kind of downstroke here and get your fingers involved. So grab it, spread your hands out, enter nice and low and use rebound. Now speed it up and get to that top drum. Now we don't have that much time, but I'm trying to get you to see how I'm sneaking in. A lot of kids are going to hit that forte piano and then come in loud. Right? You got to start low. So stay low for a split second. So again, you're showing the judge, yes, I can get to piano. Then speed it up and get to the top drum. Okay, so let's try it in time. With the mute. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Mute. Strike low, sneak in. A lot going on there. 1, ready, go. Mute. 1, 2, 3, again, ready, go. Mute. 1, ready, go. Mute. Hit, sneak in, speed up, and get to that top drum. Okay? Now, that's a lot going on there, especially with the speed of that roll. When you get to this top drum, you want to make sure you're not overplaying. And then also, this is not a tied roll, so you don't want it to be totally connected. So you need to kind of have a little bit of space. Then you do it. Don't have it where it's connecting all the way. Easier said than done, but we're going to try to do that. Okay, so let's try to get into measure 6, and then we're going to try to put that together. So measure 6, pretty easy rhythm here. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 6 and 1. So we're at forte. Let's get the first half of this. Got our hands back to French grip. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1 and 2, 3. Now I actually want you to mute this drum here, okay? So right when I hit that top drum, I'm going to mute softly on the 29, exactly at the same time. Practice that. Okay, that's what we're going to do at the end there, okay? Because we have a subito piano coming, and if we can take the ring away from the low drum, then we can really sneak in softly at piano. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, get this mute, please. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, now on that last note, because I'm used to doing a piston stroke, you saw my hand come up, you actually want to make sure you're getting low down to the low drum here. So let's practice hitting a piston but then getting low, okay? 1, ready, go. Get down, okay, and get ready for the next notes. 1, ready, go. So you have your mute, it comes over, stays low, and I'm going to get ready to play with my left hand, okay? 1, last time, go. Okay, by beat 6, we have to be subito piano. Okay, so we have 2 la li 1, 2 la li 1 on li, 2 la li 1, or you can think 4, 5, 6 and 1, 4, 5, 6 and 1. Again, it's piano, but I'm still using piston to get some front to that note. Okay, let's play the whole measure 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Last time, go. Okay, let's do it from the roll since we have to practice that gap between the roll and the 16th notes on measure 6. So a lot going on here. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Mute, 2, 3, strike, sneak in. 1, ready, go. Mute, 2, 3, strike, sneak in, gap. Again, notice I didn't roll straight from this drum to that drum. I put a little bit of a gap without changing the rhythm. Let's do it one more time because you might have a hard time and create a loop on this measure and slow it down if you need to. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Mute, 2, 3. Okay, measure 7. 1, 2, and 3, roll 1. Now this roll is on the F, and then we release on the F on measure 8, but again, it's not tied. So as we crescendo, dotted note, we need to put a little bit of a break, then reattack on measure 8. Okay, so this is a pretty straightforward measure. We're starting soft, and then we're going to crescendo, put a gap on the roll, and then hit measure 8. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Left. So we actually want to go left on measure 8 because of the sticking that's coming up. So make sure you put the gap and release on your left. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 2, only crescendoing the mezzo piano, so be careful here. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. So this is very subtle crescendo. And again, I want to separate my hands for that roll and then get back to the center, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Back to the center. Spread the hands, back to the center. Don't crescendo too much. Okay, when you're doing that roll, you're thinking dotted note, boom. Dotted note, boom. Spread the hands. Dotted note, boom. Okay, so measure 8 here, we have 1 and 2, 3, roll, release. So kind of a similar idea here, but we're starting with 2 6 notes. Going left lead, only mezzo piano, and we're starting the roll here, thinking dotted note. We're going to spread our hands on that roll as well, and then we're going to get to the right hand before we get to another roll at measure 9. But let's just attack it. Don't play the roll. Measure 8. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1 and 2, 3, roll. 1, 2, 3, get to mezzo forte there. again, very subtle crescendo there. 2, 3, 1. Notice the gap in this roll. I don't roll all the way to the downbeat. A little bit of a break there, okay? Okay, a lot going on this second line, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the release on measure 9. So you might have to create a loop, get all the details, and play slower if you need to. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Mute, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Mute, 2, 3. Last time. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Mute, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, line 3, measure 9. We start with a roll. This is the first time we have a regular quarter roll, so it's only worth 2 8th notes. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Try that. 1, 2, 3, and again, it's not connected. 1, 2, 3. So it's pretty short. 1, 2, 3. When we get up to tempo, we might actually tell you how many strokes to hit on the drum, but for right now, a little bit of a gap, so I'm playing like 5 notes. To get down, almost. Okay, this is the mezzo forte, and then we have 16 notes here on beat 2, 2 and la and li and 1. Now there are 2 drums on the high, and then the rest is in the low as we crescendo to forte on the 29 and release on the high drum. Now do not crescendo all the way here. We need to leave room for fortissimo in measure 11. Okay, so just a little bit of a crescendo here. So let's do the second half of measure 9 on the 16 notes. 1, ready, go. I would say the crescendo for later on when we get to these last 3 drums, because usually with dynamics we want to wait to the last second to do that, and sometimes we call that a hornbow crescendo. Let's do all measure 9. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. And go. 1, ready, go. All right, so now we're at forte, measure 10. We have an 8th note to start, then a quarter roll. Again, this quarter roll is not tied, so we have to put a little bit of a break. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice there's a little gap between this roll and the F. Haven't crescendoed yet. Remember, separate. Remember to separate your hands on that roll. Center, off center, and top drum. Okay, when we get to the second half here, we actually have our first cross stroke. So let's talk about cross strokes for a second. So we're going to have to go right, left, right. Then we're going to have to get our left hand to the top drum. Now the key to cross strokes is keep your hands nice and low. If your hands are high in any way or you're not in the right position, your hand's going to have to reach over your other hand, which is going to make it difficult. And then look at the angle of that stick. That is not a good hit spot for my stick. I want my stick nice and low. So you're going to have to keep your mouse nice and low. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to put your hands like this in your piston stroke position, and I want you to cross your left over the top and actually touch your skin. Okay, now lower that as low as you can. It feels a little bit weird, but with it, don't hit the rim, but get as low as you can, and just practice striking in a good hit spot like we've talked about. Still with a piston stroke. It's a little bit weird, but this is the feel of it. Okay, so as we're learning this, you got to keep it really low and keep your arms real close together. So just try that back and forth. If you find yourself traveling like a rainbow, if you're traveling like a rainbow, you're doing it wrong. You got to travel as flat as you can. Keep your left hand flat, and you can hear it in the sound if you're hitting at a bad angle. Still piston stroke. Okay? All right, so now let's try this in time. So second half of measure 10. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, go. This is, you got to check your hit spots here. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Now, we're about to play a roll in measure 11, so we're about to spread our hands out, so think about that as well. Let's play all in measure 10, in time. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. So notice I crescendoed, but I'm always making sure I have a beautiful sound when we get to that fortissimo. Last time, 1, ready, go. Okay, so now we have a roll in measure 11, so I want you to spread your hands out. That's starting with the right hand. Okay. And then we're going to do right lead and finish these 16th notes. But again, this is not a tied roll, so slight break before we get to the second big beat. Now let's do the second big beat for a second. 4 and 5 and 6 and 1. Let's get that. Go. 4 and 5 and 6 and 1. Ready? Go. 4 and 5 and 6 and 1. Now let's get that in time. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Make sure you're using that piston stroke because that higher drum's going to stick out and you're probably not going to have a good sound quality in this 29. So really think about keeping that firm thumb in your left hand. We're still hearing this equal to this drum. Okay, so now let's do it with the roll in front of it. I'll measure 11, 1, ready, go. 1, ready, go. 1, ready, go. Okay, now we have a dotted quarter on measure 12, so we have dotted note. We have time, so we're going to mute here. So it's going to be similar to measure 5 where we muted, bring our hands in, the mouths kind of come towards each other, spread your fingers out, okay, and don't slam your hands down. We don't really want to hear this mute. 1 lolly mute, try that. 1 lolly mute. 1 lolly mute. Plenty of time. 1 lolly mute. 1 lolly mute. And then we have one last eighth note on the 29-inch drum, but we're going to downstroke this one. So I'd like for you to put an arrow. I probably already did it for you when I made copies. But I want you to put an arrow down on the last eighth note of measure 12. I actually want you to get your back fingers active here and close. Now we don't want a bad sound, but I want you to close your pinky so the stick doesn't come back up because we have a subito piano coming up here. So not difficult rhythm-wise, but you have to think about some logistics here. Okay, a lot of space as well, so you can't just guess. You got to count. So you got to think dotted note to la li. Okay, clap that with me. 1, ready, go. Dotted note to la li. 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Dotted note to la li. Okay, and on that li, we're going to downstroke. Let's practice the transition from the last note of measure 12 to the first note of 13 because there is a mute we can do in our left hand because I'm choosing to do 4 rights in a row on measure 13 to help with this subito piano. So what I want to do is I want to downstroke my left. On the last note of measure 12, I'm going to mute. Okay, and play nice and soft with piston in my right. All right, so let's try that. So we're going to go, I'll give you 4, 5, and I want you to hit on 6, and then mute and play softly on beat 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, down, mute. A lot going on there. 4, 5, down, mute. Again. 4, 5, down, mute. Last time. 4, 5, down. Okay? All right, now let's do all of measure 12. Only give me one note on 13 since we're about to do a run through the third line. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Dotted note, mute, down. With the mute. 1, ready, go. Dotted note, mute, down, mute. 1, ready, go. Dotted note, mute, down, mute. Okay, be calm with those mutes. Okay, it's not hard, but you're gonna have to get your repetitions in. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. One, ready, go. Last time. 1, ready, go. Okay, last line here. So let's start with our mute in the left hand already there, and let's get to beat 4. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now by beat 4, we need to take our hand off there. Okay, but when we do that, don't slide it, just take it off gently. Okay, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, again, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now let's finish the second half. We're going to go 4 and 5 and 6 and 1. There's no crescendo, just stay low. 1, ready, go. 1, ready, go. And remember, we're about to roll, so you're going to go off center on that last note. Last time. Okay, let's do that whole measure. Left hand starts muting. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. 2, 3, last time, go. Okay, measure 14, we have 3 quarter note rolls here. Again, that's worth 2 1/8 notes each. So you're going to think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and you're going to have a little bit of separation between all of them. Okay, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Separate your hands on these rolls, and it's going to be a little bit of a crescendo, but save a little bit towards the end. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, again, ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Each one gets a little loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. Last time, 1, ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Okay, so measure 15, we have a dotted quarter note roll. Separate your hands, and then have a slight break, and get to beat 4. And we're going to do left hand when we finish this roll, because it's going to help you separate since it's not tied, and then we can alternate after that. So a little bit weird, but we're going to start with the right hand and then do left hand as a crossover. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Dotted note left. 1, ready, go. Dotted note left. 1, ready, go. Dotted note left. Okay, now when we're on our left on beat 4, we have a simple rhythm here. 8th, 16th, 8th. 1, ready, go. And we're going to go right hand to finish. 1, ready, go. It's fortissimo, full sound, but not overplayed. Always have a beautiful sound. Don't be barbaric. Okay, add the roll at measure 15, all at measure 15 to the downbeat of 16. 1, ready, go. 1, ready, go. 1, ready, go. Last time, go. All right, last measure, pretty straightforward here, 16th notes. We are going to mute when we hit the last note on the top drum. We're going to mute the 29. So it's going to look like this. Okay, which we've done plenty of that, so this shouldn't be that difficult. 1, ready, go. Okay, and then we're going to mute that F actually on the beat after a dotted note. So keep thinking dotted rhythms here. Dotted note release. Okay, that way you have a calm ending. Okay, and then we're going to talk about what not to do in a second here when you're completely done with this etude. Here we go, measure 16. 1, ready, go. 2, 3, boom. 1, ready, go. Dotted note off. 1, ready, go. Dotted note off. Okay, now when you're done playing, make sure there's some silence and calmness when you're done. When you're done playing, let's say even if you had a bad run through or a good run through, have about 2 seconds of silence. Let the room be quiet and still. Then calmly grab your music, okay? What some kids do in middle school is they had a bad run through, or maybe they did a good job, and they'll do, and they'll grab the music, and that just sounds so unprofessional. So make sure you're calm and still, and then quietly get back to your seat. Okay, here is the last line. 1, 2, start with the left hand mute. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Again. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. This is a full run through of the set A timpani at 50, nice and slow. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. This is a full run through the timpani set A at 60. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Run through of the set A timpani at 68. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Run through of your timpani set A at 76. 1, 2, ready,